And welcome to another book club episode. I'm very excited. My guest today is a book publicist. I have had many of her clients as my guests on this podcast, and I'm so excited to have her here to talk all things books. Please welcome Kathleen Carter from Kathleen Carter Communications. Kathleen, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
I tell you before that you're probably one of the hardest people that I'm going to have to come up with book recommendations for, only because for authors, I can guess. If
Sure,
you like to write this genre, you probably like to read it.
sure.
But you have represented so many authors throughout your career and so
Yeah,
many that I know who write in so many different genres that
yeah,
getting to know what you as a person want to read, I'm very interested, and it'll
yeah.
be a challenge for me to come up with some books on the spot.
I love to read. I read every day, whether it's for work or for pleasure or a little bit of both.
Mhm.
And I've always loved books. I think when I was, maybe a middle grade, young,
Mhm.
young adult, I wasn't as into it. But once I got
Okay.
into high school, I really developed like my passion and sort of a little bit of my taste for the kinds of stories I was drawn to. So yeah, I've just always been I feel like always been a reader.
Is your reading now, because you do it as part of your job,
Yeah.
how do you differentiate between like your reading for work and reading for pleasure?
Yeah.
And do you balance those two, or is one more than the other?
Work is more.
Mm.
Um, and I start working on my projects on campaigns well before there's a print book. So there is a definite difference. I read for work on a Kindle because I'm reading manuscripts. And then my reading for pleasure is always either a hardcover or paperback, always print.
Okay. Okay. Are you an audiobook listener or
I have
no?
started. I have
Okay.
started audio. I find I do better with like my attention span when it's like a memoir.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have a harder time with fiction.
Yes.
Um, I have one novel that I actually preferred the audio to the print. Um, Small Mercies.
Okay.
The narrator just nailed it, and it
Mm.
was like watching a movie. But I
Mm.
find otherwise that I prefer reading a print book if I can.
Yeah.
Sometimes I tag team though. Sometimes if I'm like,
Okay.
because I'm in a couple of book clubs, so sometimes it's like, all right, well, I've got to get this done. I'm gonna listen while I'm
Yeah.
like driving around or doing laundry, and then when I get back to bed, I'll pick up where I left off.
Oh my gosh, you're in a couple book clubs on top of that? Wow.
Usually I read in the evenings during
Okay.
the week because I'm working all day. I don't take time during my workday to read because I just have too much that has to get done.
Mhm.
So usually I do most of my reading in the evening, usually in bed and on the weekend.
Okay.
Really like I'll wake up in the morning on a weekend, and if no one in my house has to be taken to an activity or sports or something, I'll just sit for as long as I can get away with it and read.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And then how far into a book do you read before you put it down, or do you always finish every book you pick up?
I don't always finish every book I pick up. I used to, and it's just life's too short. So I do give it 100 pages.
Okay. 100 pages is pretty good.
Yeah.
Most
Yeah.
people say like 50 to 75. So that's a good
Yeah.
chunk. Mhm.
Yeah. It's what I do for work too. Like
Yeah.
if I have a book that I'm considering, and I'm like it's slow to get into, I give it until 100 pages because
Okay.
sometimes it can pick up
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're missing out.
hmm Now, do you use a bookmark, or do you fold the pages?
I do both.
Fold the pages? Oh
I
my
do fold
goodness.
pages. I do fold pages. I
Do you
know.
do you annotate as well?
Sometimes depends on the book. Usually I
Okay.
would say like this is probably like more like personal books, like if it's like
Mm,
a memoir or if it's I don't know. I used to really annotate books. Like in college, I would annotate like
mm.
crazy. Um, Not as much anymore, but if it's a book that's just like really hitting me, I'll highlight or underline certain passages or lines.
So, like,
Right.
what are you looking for? What is it that really speaks to you? Why do you pick up a book?
Yeah, I think if it's a book that has like a compelling cast of characters, I'm
Mhm.
into that. I think I like stories about sort of redemption, found family. I like stories of characters overcoming hardships.
Right.
I love, a female empowerment story of any kind,
Mm.
whether it's fiction, nonfiction. So yeah, that's sort of what I look for. I love a good underdog story. Yeah.
Well then I think I have a general idea and I've picked out a
Okay.
few books, so
Okay.
I'm just gonna go for it.
All right.
So here are some recommendations for you.
Okay.
And please let me know if you've read them already.
I
And for
will.
a lot of the listeners, I think I've probably talked about some of these already. But the
Okay.
first one is called Who is Maude Dixon by Alexandra Andrews.
Okay.
And it is about our main character, Florence, who is a low-level publishing employee. And she, at one point in time, finds a opportunity for herself after you meet her in her normal work life, social life, and see how they're like blended. And it's a
Mm,
nice, interesting opening chapter to kind of learn about her as a character before we learn about the rest of the plot. But
okay.
she gets the opportunity to work for as like an assistant for Maude Dixon, who is an incredibly famous author, but nobody
Okay.
knows the identity of this author. And
Okay.
so she has to go live with Maude Dixon, has to like work under
Oh,
this author.
okay.
And during her time working under this author, she accompanies her or him, he or she, to
Mm,
Morocco in Marrakesh,
okay.
where the author is writing the next novel. And then a bunch of things go wrong. And it was just like a
Oh.
fun, had an element of mystery to it and
Mhm.
thriller, but like mostly kind of like lit fic. But it was a fun
Okay.
read. And I think as somebody who works in the
Yeah.
world,
I'm familiar with the title. Is there like a
okay.
person's like a silhouette on the cover?
Yes, it's a
Okay.
very pretty cover.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The next one is The Last One by Will Dean, and it is a gripping, you will never put it down. And you start by meeting our main character, Kaz, who is a woman on a cruise with her partner, and you open to her kind of contemplating her life and, is she making the right choices? Does she like her job? Like just kind of thinking about her life.
Hmm.
And she's just on a cruise enjoying herself, and she goes to sleep one night and then wakes up the next day and she's the only person on the cruise ship, and you follow
Oh.
her
Oh my
through
gosh.
what that means. And I can't even give you anything else without
Yeah.
spoiling it, but it
Okay.
was gripping. Like it was so,
Okay.
so, so
That's
good.
interesting. Yeah.
The next one is Her Many Faces by Nicci Cloke, and it came out, I believe, last year. And this book is about a young woman who is on trial for murder. And the
Okay.
whole novel is told in second person, and it's through the eyes of all the men who knew her throughout her life.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
is she, I think the cover says something like, is she a daughter, a victim, a villain, and
Oh. Oh,
so
interesting.
you get to know her through the eyes of all these different men, and then to find out if she did commit this murder or not.
Oh, those are all really interesting, and I have not read any of them.
Where can people find you? Where can they look you up? As everybody knows, I will put all this information in the show notes.
Yes. Well, I'm on Instagram at KCCPR, and then my website, which is wildly out of date and desperately in need of an upgrade, it's really needs a refresh, is www.kathleencartercommunications.com.